Tempest Trials plus Life and Death 1 doesn't sound very summer-like, and that's because like last year we're getting a separate side story instead of the usual seasonal fluff. As the name suggests, this year we are diving back into Book 3 with some plot I assume that will involve air and or hell, maybe Leaf and Thracier. Perhaps we'll get an Ascended Air later on. Now, unlike last year, they are not dropping the seasonal Tempest Trials story completely. We're getting some seasonal fun on the 4th and 7th days of the event, so don't be too surprised when you do your daily runs. I think that's a nice little change. Back to our usual content, we'll be taking a look at the rewards from the Life and Death 1 Tempest Trials. For all your summoning needs, you can get another 42 orbs, 11,000 feathers, and 80 sacred coins. We have Ephemer's 7 divine codes to earn, and a fire blessing for legendary Xander. For sacred seals, there's attack and speed push, and the spicy bonus doubler. As for the reward unit this time, we have Sacred Summer Seth, and you can get him at 4-star and 5-star rarity. We'll talk about him more later on. First up, we got 2 new Sacred Seals starting with Attack and Speed Push 3. At start of combat, if unit is full health, grant +5 attack and speed, but if you attacked, then you deal 1 damage to yourself after combat. I didn't realize, but there are only 3 push variants, attack plus the other 3 stats. With the Attack and Speed Push Sacred Seal, we technically have all the push A skills, so I guess we're done with those. At tier 3, the push skills are very iffy. They grant +5 to 2 stats with no positioning, but they deactivate themselves after a single fight. You have to heal back to full HP to use them again, and that's not exactly the most user-friendly skill. The tier 4 push skills are a bit more lenient, but our Sacred Seals are stuck at tier 3. We have a lot of other attack and speed Sacred Seals like Bond, Form, Solo, Blade Session, Swift Sparrow, or Life and Death. I would say most of those are better to upgrade first, but if you got extra coins, then Attack and Speed Push could be useful for single fight purposes. For example, you could just use them on a defense team where positioning might be an issue for the AI, and if you just want one good fight out of the unit, then job done. Our second Sacred Seal is a bit more interesting. Bonus Doubler 3 enters the Sacred Seal slot. Grants bonus to attack, speed, defense, and res during combat equal to the current bonus on each of unit's stats. Calculate each stat independently. If you're unfamiliar with this skill, basically as the name states, you double field buffs by granting the same boost in combat. So if you have a +6 attack field buff and a +4 defense field buff, you're going to get +6 attack and +4 defense in combat. I have to believe this timing is to match up with Legendary Roy's remix / refine. Roy was the first one to have the bonus doubler A skill, even if the effect itself was on other units like Legendary Marth, I believe. As I mentioned in my refines video, if you don't or want to give Roy anything super premium or expensive, you can just run double bonus doubler. He gives himself +6 attack and speed with his C skill, so 2 of those skills are going to grant +12 attack and speed in combat. Works great with the new attack and speed Oath 4 as well. To me, the main draw of Bonus Doubler is that it has one of, if not the highest, total stat boost potential. What I mean by this is if you have full +6 field buffs, the skill will give you +24 total stats. Something like Blade Session can give more attack and speed, but that's only 18 total stats, just more focused. With full buffing, you can have a ton of fun with Bonus Doubler. However, should you lose those field buffs to panic or they get neutralized by lulls, then Bonus Doubler can also be completely useless. In the case of lull type effects, it's really not in your control, so depending on Bonus Doubler or multiple copies of it can be risky. I think it is worth upgrading just to mess around with, but those field buffs have to stay active.
I have my duties. Rest comes when appropriate. Do try to avoid splashing me with water, inadvertently or otherwise.
Our reward unit for this Tempest Trials is Sacred Summer Silver Seth. My man finally gets a seasonal ult and he's pretty good. Seth saw that Volter was in the voting gauntlet, so this time he's an Axe Cavalier. For stats, Seth has 40 HP, 40 attack, 38 speed, 31 defense, and 24 res. Very solid attack and speed stats, and Seth has 3 super boons in attack, speed, and res. Fun stuff. Among free-to-play options, Seth is the fastest Axe Cavalier, and he's second highest for attack. His defense and res take a hit, but he isn't super lopsided defensively. Seth is going to be very flexible build-wise, and we have a gajillion different inheritable axes to choose from to fit your many needs. Well, Seth may not even need a new weapon because the Seahorse Axe Plus is fantastic. 14 might, and if unit initiates combat or is within 2 spaces of an ally, grant +5 attack and defense, and unit makes a guaranteed follow-up attack. Just like Leon's Koro Saber Plus, the Seahorse Axe is going to shoot straight to the top of inheritable options. Axes continue to just have the most accessible weapons. Seahorse Axe has a pretty generous activation condition, and +5 attack and defense is always good to see. However, it's that free follow-up attack which is absurdly strong and surprising to see on a free inheritable weapon. What's even crazier is that you also get the follow-up on either phase, but for the enemy phase you're going to need a nearby ally. You can't be super solo. Seth's going to be a great contrast to Leon because instead of being super slow, Seth is respectively fast. Both types of units can run these weapons because free follow-up attacks are just that powerful. That's why no follow-up is so dominant, because it stops these effects from taking over. For the rest of his base kit, Seth actually brings some really cool stuff. He has rally up speed, which has never been on any other unit in its base form. The plus version is only on Harmonic Tiki and Azel, so if you wanted to father them, you could use Seth as a stepping stone. The base rally up speed is just plus 4 speed, but it is in a 2-space AoE around the target. For his A skill, Seth has speed and defense catch 3, plus 5 speed and defense against full health foes, or if they have a penalty on them. We literally just got speed and defense catch 4 from Sane, so if you wanted to fodder that, you can use Seth now. The tier 3 isn't a terrible budget A skill though. Last, Seth has defense tactic 3. I feel like the 2 AoE buffing skills is a nod to his OG form speed tactic refine, but Seth is ready to roll with a real weapon this time. If you plan to merge Seth, like I will be, then the neutral nature is going to give him +1 HP, attack, and defense. However, 3 super boons is a bit tempting, and plus attack or plus speed will serve Seth well. You could grab both if you use an ascended asset. If you want to go more defensive, then the res super boon would help further balance out Seth's stat spread. For free-to-play comparisons, I can show all the Heroic Grail and demoted Axe Cavs. We did not have a ton of Axe Cavaliers for a while, but we added 3 new Heroic Grail options last year. Spring Soleil and Pelagian Male Chris are the 2 speedy options, but Seth matches up with both of them just fine. There is Grimmarth as well, but Seth has 9 more attack at base, so yeah. If you wanted a more interesting choice, Walhart with his Wolfberg refine is pretty cool to look at. I would definitely read up on that if you're interested. That thing is real neat. In terms of demoted 3 to 4 star options, the only one with more attack is Violin, who is the other Gen 6 Axe Cav option. Lex has a cool Dophase Brave Axe, but Titania is the only one who has any kind of speed. Sadly, Draconic Poaxe is not the best, and Seth knows that pain very well himself. Now, if you wanted a cracked out speedy Axe Cavalier that you don't have to invest in as much, we have recently got some incredible 5-star options. Still available right now is Summer Dimitri and the new legendary Xander. We also had Harmonic Roy a little while back. These guys not only have a lot more unique effects on their weapons with amazing stats, but they all have unique passives. Summer Seth is pretty good, but you just can't compete with that kind of special treatment. In terms of builds, Seth is in a real good spot for those that like options. Seahorse Axe Plus is absurdly good to keep, and you can refine it with your choice of anything really. More speed is nice to not get doubled by other units, while something like more defense or res can help Seth stay alive. If you keep a speed and defense catch 3, then Seth can get +5 attack and speed and +10 defense with his base kit, which is pretty good. The free follow-up attack is going to be amazing for doubling faster units who don't have no follow-up, and it can act like a budget flow guard if you use the guard B skill. The free follow-up can cancel out a fall prevention ability, and Seth has enough speed to double slower tanks. This simulates offensive no follow-up basically. Technically, with Guard and the Seahorse Axe, you can have Flow Guard for the enemy phase as well. The only downside is if enemies stack fall prevention abilities, but that is a rare occurrence. With a free follow-up attack and no HP conditions on the Seahorse Axe, Desperation is a fun option. You can hit twice in a row. You can also go with the more uncommon budget skills like Attack and Defense Snag or Dope Close. In terms of Sacred Seals, you can either get more speed like with Swift Sparrow, or you can trend to more defense and res. You can use solos, but we do have that Attack and Defense Catch 3 Sacred Seal, so you don't have to worry about positioning. In terms of buffs, well, Seth has 2 buffing skills for his team. Those are fine to keep, but I think he's done enough support work with his OG form. He can get buffs for himself with Rousey's skills, or throw in a smoke debuff since it can help proc Catch's secondary condition. For specials, Bonfire works nicely if you're going to have the higher defense, or you can use something like Moonbow or Luna just fine. For longer fights, Aether is good as well. With premium skills, you can have a lot of fun with the Seahorse Axe. We got Near Trace for Kanto, Lulls for neutralizing field buffs, and you could still run the Flow B skills. Technically, Flow Guard is fine with a free follow-up weapon. For A skills, if you do have Sane, you can upgrade to Speed and Defense Catch 4. Otherwise, right now, we have 3 units on the banners with Attack and Speed Catch 4. Solo skills and surges are options as well, but you're free to run defensive skills too since Seahorse Axe has that follow-up for the enemy phase. We don't need quick riposte, but you can play that way or you can go for mixed phase. For example, you can have something like Distant Counter to counter ranged foes, but you can also carry Menace, which is going to prepare Seth for initiations. You got tier 4 Rouse C skills for buffs, and Seth can run either Attack Smoke 4 or Speed Smoke 4. If you want to stack speed, get Dodge would be a really good side effect. If you want to focus on defense and res, then Attack Smoke 4 bolsters Seth's stats even more, and now he has Fault Prevention himself. Honestly, lots of fun and good options are on the table. It just depends on what you got available to you. If you don't want a free follow-up, then you have many other options. For example, Springy Axe is the best speed-based weapon, while the 2 Ninja Brave Axes can be a lot of fun. Seth is a pretty good user of the Shuriken Cleaver since his speed is decent enough while having 40 base attack. We also got other inherited weapons on free-to-play units like the Unbound Axe, aka the Deck Swabber, that's good for solo builds. Pelagian Axe is fun for debuffing teams. Then you got the Rain Axe, where it's really simple speed and defense debuffs. I think Seahorse Axe is worth keeping around though, but the choice is up to you. Overall, this is a very fun Tempest Trials event. For our Sacred Seals, Bonus Doubler is a neat skill with some high potential, but it can be countered. I think it's worth upgrading if you got extra coins. As for Summer Seth, he's a great free Axe Cavalier if you want someone with good attack and speed. His defense and res aren't that high, but they're not super lopsided, so he's workable into fighting anyone. Seth has 2 pretty rare skills in Rally Up Speed and Speed and Defense Catch 3. You can use those to upgrade to their higher tier versions. Then you got the Seahorse Axe, which is a top tier inheritable weapon. We get a lot of free reward or demoted axe units who do not have good speed, and this would literally be my go-to recommendation for them because a free follow-up is just way too good to pass up on. Not needing quicker posts while getting player phase presence is so good, and like we discussed, it can be used on any type of unit, slow or fast. Seth is going to be a very solid heroic rail unit to have copies around. Unfortunately, if you're going to merge him like me, then you're going to have to pay a hefty price for copies you want to use for fodder. Regardless, very happy with how he turned out. That will be it for this video. The second summer banner and the Tempest Trials event should be out now or soon. Go and get those rewards, and good luck summoning.